Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We're diving into a haunting, honestly kind of grim-dark philosophical fable. But we're not going to look at it from our usual messy, ground-level human perspective. Instead, I want you to join me in adopting a totally detached, celestial vantage point. Think of it as the gaze of the moon spirit, looking down from the cosmos upon the tragic, tangled threads of human struggle. I am the moon's spirit, watching from my celestial height as the threads of the forge and the frost entwine within the city of mirrors in the mud. Taking on this persona, as the Silver Weaver, we watch everything from a totally impartial height. All of our deep human struggles, our debates, our absolute worst agonies and greatest triumphs, to the moon spirit, they're really just tiny flickers in a massive tapestry down in what we call the city of mirrors in the mud.
Section 1. The Silver Weaver's Gaze. So think about it from this cosmic vantage point. Our human concepts of what is noble or what is terrible are met with total, cold indifference. Down on Earth, there are two massive opposing forces constantly battling: burning, chaotic ambition on one side and absolute frozen stillness on the other. But to the cosmos, neither is right or wrong. They're both literally just futile, brief agitations before everything inevitably returns to the quiet of the void.
Section 2. The Forge and the Frost. Let's break down this great dichotomy. On one side, you have the Red Spectre's crucible. This represents the spirit of becoming. It's fueled by the pure fire of imagination. But here's the catch. Living there requires the constant, incredibly painful melting and remaking of the self. It hurts. Then, on the other side, you have the Monument's Cathedral, ruled by a figure called the Ghoul. This place offers rigid, frozen logic. It promises the mercy of cold stone and complete, static stagnation. So it's the ultimate choice, right? Agonizing, messy growth or chilling, permanent peace. These two absolute forces are battling over the fluid human spirit, and they've given themselves some pretty interesting titles. The Red Spectre proudly owns the title of the Ignoble Soul. He takes pure agony and forges a life-affirming mythos out of it, absolutely refusing to surrender to the dark. The Ghoul, on the flip side, claims to be the Noble Soul. He's this architect of ultimate order, creating sovereign laws that promise the absolute perfection of total silence. Zooming in through these silver reflections, we find our protagonist, a single, deeply exhausted traveler. Their bones are just aching. They are completely drained from enduring that continuous, painful melting required by the Red Spectre's fire. They can't take it anymore. So fleeing that blinding heat, they stumble to the edge of the muddy plains, desperate for just a moment of rest under a fractured gray sky. Section 3. The Contract of Erasure. Enter the uncanny specter, the Ghoul. He rises up from the crimson fog looking like a literal monument of carved ash. And he doesn't yell or boom like thunder. His voice is just this incredibly smooth, clinical hum of silence. He hands our exhausted traveler a mother-of-pearl parchment. With an incredibly seductive pitch, he says, "The fire burns, but the void heals. Sign, and the struggle ends." The rules of this place, the sovereign laws, are written in this wild script that dissolves into vapor right as you read it. Law 1. To find peace, you must leave no footprint. Law 2. To gain everything, surrender the I. And Law 3, the highest motion is absolute stillness. The Ghoul frames this so softly, like he's just offering a way to stop hurting. But make no mistake, it is a stark demand for the complete and total erasure of the self.
Now, this actually taps into a very real, profound psychological concept, the Thanatos drive. It's that incredibly seductive pull to just stop existing, to erase yourself simply to escape the chaotic, exhausting friction of everyday life. As our traveler presses their finger to the disappearing ink to sign, their heavy memories and past failures immediately start to soften. All that baggage turns to harmless dust. And at first, it feels like the sweetest relief imaginable.
Section 4. The Geometry of Stagnation. Okay, so the Ghoul leads our traveler into this trap of a cathedral. It's built entirely of Apollonian gaskets. Picture breathtaking, infinite circles nested perfectly within larger circles, all carved from this incredibly dense glass that can never, ever melt. Inside this frozen architecture, time completely stops. There's no wind, there's only rigid, frozen logic holding everything perfectly, eternally still. You know those agonizing 3 a.m. existential questions that keep us all awake? Who am I? What am I doing with my life? What must I create?
Well, wrapped in the numbing, flawless embrace of these glass gaskets, every single one of those questions just completely evaporates from the traveler's mind. The traveler looks around and sees these elders sitting perfectly upright in the center of the geometric rings. They aren't blinking, they're just staring blankly at the ceiling. The ghoul describes them with this chilling clinical detachment, calling them the pious cows of contentment. They don't hunger, they don't mourn, they've traded all the chaotic friction of living for total static stagnation. And here's the ultimate tragedy. The traveler looks at this beautiful self-made tomb and mistakes that utter numbness for actual divine grace. Section 5, The Mirage of Ascension. But here's where the trap gets truly devious. To prevent the traveler from realizing they are slowly fading out of existence, the cage actively lies to them. Whenever a tiny spark of the traveler's old fluid spirit twitches, the ghoul projects these flickering masks of evolution onto the glass walls, the mirrors of the hollow souls. The traveler looks into the glass and sees a reflection of themselves, cloaked in starlight, radiating this perfected, universal harmony. And the ghoul is right there, whispering, manipulating them to soothe any momentary panic. "Look," he says, "see how you progress? See how you evolve?" He weaves this elaborate illusion, completely convincing the traveler that they are conquering some great mountain of spiritual growth and ascending to new, incredible heights. But of course, it's a complete trap, a total illusion. The traveler firmly believes they are ascending towards divinity, climbing ever higher, but the reality is they are descending further and further into deep paralysis. Those mirrors, they aren't showing spiritual progress. They're literally just reflecting the cold mathematical geometry of the gilded cages.
Section 6, The Final Great Evening.
Then something happens. Way off in the distance, far beyond the city of mirrors, a sudden flash of crimson splits the sky. It's the crucible venting its exhaust, sparks of raw, messy, transformative imagination. And for one fleeting millisecond, for literally one split second, the traveler feels the urge to run back to the fire, to break the crystal rings, to bleed, to cry, to actually live and become. But it's too late. The sovereign laws take full effect. The ink completely vanishes, and an eternal quiet sets in. We watch the physical transformation finalize. The traveler's limbs turn into the exact same dull lead they had tried so hard to escape. Their breath stops fogging the mirrors. They just slowly blink, chewing on the empty air of the void. Sinking into the eternal quiet, they are fully content in their paralysis, flawlessly perfected and utterly dead in the stone. Pulling back out to our cosmic, moon spirit perspective, the ultimate truth of this fable hits us. There really is no difference between the one who forges the steel of the future and the one who just rearranges the lead of the past. Whether a soul chooses the agonizing, burning fire of the crucible or the silent, frozen death of the gilded cage, the cosmos doesn't care. Both paths are ultimately destined to descend into the exact same great evening of consciousness. They both dissolve right back into the mud. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a pretty provocative question to chew on today. We are all seeking refuge from the exhausting, chaotic friction of life, right? We're all secretly looking for that mother-of-pearl parchment to sign just to get a break. But if the fire exhausts and the frost entombs, which gilded cage in your own life are you currently mistaking for a mountain? Really think about that one. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today.